What's up, people? Welcome to the Health is Wealth podcast. Today's episode is all about the champ, Nikita Chub. What's up, people? I'm your host, Jason Shirley, and we're with the champ today, Nikita Chub, and my co-host, Bobby Jackson, as usual.
What's up, everybody? Bobby Jackson here. This one is really special to me because I got to bring one of the athletes I've been working with for quite a while now at my gym, the Custom Fitness Institute, and that is the K1 Kickboxing undisputed champion of the FFC, Nikita Chub, right here. How you doing,
champ is
Nikki?
here.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks for bringing the hardware. I know you don't usually flash that around.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hi everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. So how long have we been working together? What's it been? Almost 2 years now?
Yeah, I think about that.
Yeah.
2 years for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of easy for me because you were already the champion when you showed up at my gym, so I can't take any credit for getting you to that level. But man, you've been fighting for a really long time, though, right? I mean, you were a teenager when you first put gloves on.
Yeah, I think for the moment I'm doing the fights about 15 years.
Man,
Not the professional fights all these years, but the time when I jumped into the martial arts, I was about 12, 13 years old.
oh man.
Young.
And being from Ukraine, is that common? I mean, that's a very popular type of sport to get into.
The time when I started it was still a little bit of the mystery in that, we've been watching all this movie about the Chinese Kung Fu and karate.
okay.
So, yeah, basically our first competitions, were looking more like backyard fighting, with,
Okay.
with the pants, small gloves, we did by ourselves. So we had
Wow.
fun. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Kind of like the Miami. What was that? The Kimbo Slice backyard
backyard,
boxing
yeah.
stuff. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
but they didn't pay us.
But there was no money. That was just for respect and to stay moving. Side note, real quick. What are some other very popular sports over there? I mean, was it like basketball? I know that's pretty much popular all over the planet. But what would have been like another very famous common sport for youth to play over in the Ukraine back then?
You mean back in the years?
Yeah. Back when you
Yeah,
were growing up.
well, in general, my sports life, I started with the basketball because
Perfect.
my father, he's a basketball coach.
Very cool.
So,
okay.
yeah, he got me involved in the basketball. But I was doing that about 4 or 5 years.
What ages was that? That was
was
that leading up to?
5 to 10 years.
Okay. So once you got the gloves on, that was pretty much it, huh?
Yeah,
That was-
well, the thing that I felt more comfortable with that kind of sports where, like, you're by yourself inside the ring cage or
individual.
whatever. Yeah,
Not
individual.
relying on anybody else,
Yeah.
just you and your
Well,
competition.
it's paid off, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's listened to the show, he's got his belt on his shoulder right now, which
Yeah.
we asked him to do
Yeah,
that.
thanks
he
again.
doesn't do that.
He doesn't really
he doesn't
do that.
brag
He
about
looks-
it.
Actually,
a lot.
we'll take that off you right now. I'll take it.
Yeah,
off.
seal that off.
Any
But-
excuse for me to touch it right
Yeah.
now.
So Nikita, tell us how you met Bobby.
Like we said, I met Bobby about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I met him through one of my teammates, Corey Samuels. We're training together at the Fight Sports Deerfield Beach.
Okay.
And with the main coach, striking coach Daniel Mendes, and jiu-jitsu coach Shizia Cavalcante.
Jay-Z.
Yeah, Jay-Z.
Most famously.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
jiu-jitsu.
he's a MMA legend, great guy, and so Corey was training with Bobby, and
okay. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
I was looking for opportunity to start working separately with his strength and conditioning coach. It's actually was, I wouldn't say like one of my big dreams, but one of my goals.
Yeah.
While I was trying to build the team here. So Corey connected us, and since then,
Yeah,
we
man.
started working together.
Yeah, the rest is
Yeah.
history.
Yeah,
So
you guys-
Corey was coming out as a pro MMA guy.
Oh,
So
is
the
that what it
cool
was?
part about Daniel and those guys over there, and Jay-Z, of course, he did MMA as well, but very high level pedigree jiu-jitsu was like they come together as those fight coaches, and they're building jiu-jitsu competitors, they're building MMA athletes, they're building kickboxers as well. And so they're really, it's very well rounded up there, and so everybody
Yeah.
kind of gets a little bit of everything. And so meeting Nikita, he was the first like pedigree kickboxer that I'd ever worked with. I'd worked with like the gold gloves level boxing, jiu-jitsu, and MMA athletes, Corey being one of them. And then it was that transition over to trying to break down a little bit more specifically for striking, which is, of course, Nikita's thing. No grappling or wrestling or rolling around on the ground there.
But see, I'm not a fighter at all, and I've learned a lot through Bobby. And I've always found it interesting, the more Bobby shares people with me, why everyone in the fight world come to South Florida. So what brought you to South Florida? Was it because of a fight and then you liked it here, or what was the big reason why you came to South Florida?
Well, honestly, when people ask me this question, I usually answering that I wasn't the one who chose the Florida, but Florida chose me.
Oh.
Yeah, that's because everything happened somehow, randomly, because it's came out that I got a couple friends here. They invited me, so I came down here. I wasn't planning to come here specifically for the fighting, or something, but yeah, it is what it is for now. Like, I came here, I really like here, and I was lucky to meet guys like Daniel, JZ, Bobby, and to keep going.
Now that you've been the champ for so long in different leagues and in different competitions, do you find the training better in South Florida than you've been in before in China and Europe throughout here? Do you find the conditioning and training abilities and people that you run into the best of the best down here?
Well, definitely. We're growing up together, and I can't say that anyone better or worse, but what I like here that our coaches, like my coaches, Bobby, Daniel, and I'll work also with Freddie Marford.
Yeah.
They never interrupting each other, and we just adding the new things to our training process.
Yeah, and I know that's one thing, Bobby, you always gave credit to, is like, look, I stay in my lane of conditioning and strength, and even though you enjoy doing your own jiu-jitsu for your hobby and know enough about it, you let the good coaches coach, and then you just do the conditioning and training, which I think it's been a great benefit for a lot of the fighters that you've helped.
Yeah, and that's just knowing, okay, where your spot is on the team, right? When I first met Nikita, the same thing when I first met Corey and some of those other athletes, is I need to make sure what I'm doing is complementing what your other coaches are doing, right? Those are for the sport. Those are your primary coaches. I would consider myself really an accessory coach, and I need to make sure what I'm doing is not taking away from focus or potential progress that you're making with those other guys. And like he had said, it's kind of a cool combination. Yeah. I always get a kick out of it when we're having the coaches meeting, because it's Argentinian, Brazilian, American, Ukrainian athlete, and it's like so the whole team is just from all over the place, but everybody has their discipline that they really specialize in, and that little thing we're just trying to add a little bit to the recipe here, not trying to hog the whole spotlight, but everybody just comes together, and man, it's really getting to go to Vegas and watch a couple of those fights. Yeah. It's absolutely incredible.
And something, Nikita, I learned off camera as we asked you to be on the show was that you got a lot of more experience in other areas of fighting, and you were just sharing a few nuggets that I'd like you to share of how different but how similar they are at the same things. Because you got the French boxing, was it Salvet?
Yeah.
Salvet. Saying so,
or Salvet.
You're saying it better and stuff, and it's because of their funny uniforms is why you chose that fight.
Yeah,
but the different elements too, and that was something I was just educated on about 40 minutes ago too. Is that not understanding, like Jason and I always joke about, we don't know what we don't know. So to talk to a guy like Nikita here, who, okay, he's the current champion in one discipline of striking, right? Striking being just a realm of type of combat sports, there's so many other categories that most of them I didn't even know about until about 40 minutes ago. And so what were kind of the other primary ones? Jason had mentioned Savat, there was Sand Show, there were a few, and you actually travel quite a bit competing in those as well. So let people know, all the different countries you had competed in those different disciplines.
Well, basically my fighting background, it's Muay Thai. But for the current moment, I like to compete K1. And yeah, I've been competing with the Sevet and Sencho, which is totally different kind of sports, even though they're both
So
striking
Sevet
sports.
is a French boxing technique.
French boxing,
They say
yeah.
French boxing.
And then the second one you said is,
Sencho,
And that's-
Chinese boxing.
and that's Chinese boxing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Sevet, it's the history of this martial art. It's coming from the French sailors and the sailing men. Yeah, sailing
yeah,
men.
sailing men,
Okay,
yeah.
sailing men. So they uniform, like when they go in the ports, they go into the bars, they're fighting, and they always wearing like the sailing uniform, and they had his shoes for the sailing. So since that time, the one of the main difference in Sevet compared to the other martial arts, that the fighters there, they wearing shoes, the specific shoes, and the strikes and kicks that you can make there, it's going only with the shoes. You cannot kick with the shin there or knee. You have to kick with the toe or the other surfaces of the shoes. And but it's pretty solid.
So like people that are used to, like me, I'll use me example because a lot of people that are listening to this probably have more of lack of knowledge compared to you two on a show. But so you're telling us that they're literally kicking with the shoe, with the toe, like driving their shoe into the sounds scary, but the kneecap and pushing them forward. That's saying first, what we watch on TV nowadays with basic UFC stuff is they're using their shin to kick onto the thigh or the shin itself. Like, so you guys actually directly pushing with the foot.
Yeah, but it wasn't to kick the joints or knees. It was illegal, but over the joint, the thigh.
Yeah.
It's
But that's that contact point you're using. You're actually trying to make contact using your foot.
yes.
Whereas and especially for those of us, those of you guys listening who maybe watch like the UFC league of mixed martial arts, you'll typically hear those really hard kicks to the side of the leg. That athlete's actually trying to deliver the kick and make contact with the part of the leg just above the foot, right? That's usually the target for the traditional kicking is you're going to try to drain that just right at the base of the shin versus
Correct.
This one that Nikita is explaining is you actually want to kick and use your foot to make the contact. And that's what differentiates that from, say, traditional kickboxing, right?
Yes.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah.
Yes.
So where competing in that sport specifically, where did that take you? Where were some of the places you were competing for that?
These sports took me, to the France. We've been competing in France, and also we had the World Combat Games in Russia in St. Petersburg in 2013. Which is combat games they compare into Olympic games in non-Olympic kind of sports.
Yeah.
Like so, the all kinds of martial
really
arts.
cool.
That,
Oh, nice.
that,
What's it called?
World Combat Games.
Oh, World Combat Games. So it's
Yes.
all different types of combat. Oh, I didn't know
yes,
about this. No.
yes, but the level is comparing to the Olympic Games.
Olympic.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just those other subcategories of fighting, basically, that don't get major exposure through the Olympics.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So
Yeah, very nice.
So how many championships do you have through there? About 30?
Well, with this kind of sports, I stick for the 3 championships, but 2 of them were world championships and 1 the World Combat Games.
And they were all in what style?
2 of them it was in France. And
In Sevet.
in Sevet.
Sevet.
Okay.
And the combat games also in Sevet. It was in Russia and St.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So then you had gone from that into Sancho?
I would say that everything went parallel, but into the Sancho I got much earlier, and this gave me a chance to compete in Europe a lot and travel at the same time.
And you guys are saying
Sencho.
it right? Sencho.
Yes,
And
Chinese boxing.
is Chinese boxing. So how does that differ from the French boxing?
Well, Chinese boxing or Sancho, it's the martial art that Chinese special forces they use in their basement, and the difference here that here we already have the grappling elements. So you can catch legs there, you can sweep,
Nice.
you can make like throw the partner,
like judo.
Yeah, like a
throw.
judo elements,
okay.
yeah. But there is no ground game there. And one of the main difference with the Sensho that all competitions, they're not in the ring or the cage. They have the specific. They call it lei tai, you know. So it's a base that is a little bit up of the floor, yeah.
Okay, yeah, above
Yeah.
the floor.
Sure, elevated a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Kinda
but
like a
there is
stage.
no ropes or nothing, so
It's just a platform.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
platform.
so it's like
Yeah.
blood sport. So it's almost like blood
Something
sport.
like that. Correct.
on a
correct.
crazy
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can push your opponent.
And that you
On
win
the
and you
edge.
get them off.
Well,
sumo?
it's giving your points.
Oh yeah, so
it's
you're
giving
getting
your
points for pushing them off.
Yeah.
I have a chance in that one.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have that.
yeah.
You got some good momentum.
But you better stay close to the edge. So.
Stay close. Yeah. I'll stay in the middle.
Yeah.
But you gave a good analogy for a lot of us like me, and this is the only part I have a good conversation part in this is tell everyone you give an analogy of similar things that a lot of our listeners listen to compared to different bodybuilding or CrossFit. So give that example there.
Yeah, like if we're here in martial arts, like if we're not involved or people who are not involved, for most of the people it's just the same thing. You're kicking or punching or whatever, you know. But let's take those two martial arts, even three, like Muay Thai, Savate, and Sensho.
Okay.
Yeah, people kicking there, people punching there, but there are a lot of small different details that making the huge difference.
Okay.
And each of those kind of sports or martial arts, it was created by the separate nation, you know?
Yeah.
So the French kickboxing, literally like the French people created it, even though it's including kicks or something.
Yeah.
But it could be a small difference between kicks or, let's say, in Muay Thai, we're using the solid kicks with the shin, like Bobby said, yeah? Good point, Bobby.
Bobby made a good point.
I explained in a very elementary way. So yeah, that's
Write that down. Bobby made a
write
good
that
point
down.
there.
I
So-
did a thing. Nice.
With Muay Thai, it's more solid kicks with the shin, and Sensho, they prefer to make a sloppy kicks with the foot, you know, and because the main goal there to make kick and go for the takedown or something, you know. So
That's my
it's
kinda
a
game
small,
right
it's small things that make a big difference.
Oh.
And
Like-
it's interesting with the ones that they develop specifically for like law enforcement or special forces for their nations, right? That's kind of interesting where, okay,
Yeah,
we
I
get the
didn't know
French
anything
trying to
about
specialize for their people. We have the Chinese style Sanshou that they use for really, you know, with anything you're using in that application has to be so effective.
But-
It really shows how good of a sport that is.
Also for the Sensho, they have the other part of the martial arts, which we can see in the movies about the kung fu.
Oh yeah.
You know, when they like using the acrobatic elements. I don't know if you know it's pretty famous actor Jet Li. He's from China.
Yeah.
So he was the world champion in both in Sensho and the formal technique, they say.
Oh, is that how he got famous
Taolu.
initially?
Yeah.
Was he was
Oh, I
a
didn't know
champion
that.
in two different?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I thought he
Wow.
just looked like a badass person.
Yeah, I
so
thought
he
he was
was
a good
on
actor.
videos. Yeah.
He's an actual athlete. Yeah.
Oh, so
Very cool.
okay, that's
Nice.
awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, man.
So
look
the
at me
thing,
learning.
if we back to the thing that we've been talking about, like for the people that not involved in the sports, let's say CrossFit and bodybuilding, it's like the thing where you're just lifting weights, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're using bars and plates and all the
Some of the movements might look
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but a bodybuilder's not keeping up with a CrossFitter,
Yeah.
and a CrossFitter's
Yeah.
not doing what a bodybuilder's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you better don't ask CrossFit guy if he's doing bodybuilding. You know, like,
Yeah.
So
Because they might cry.
Yeah.
the same thing with the martial arts. That's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean.
And I think that's a really good example, and I'm glad you brought that up before the show, and I was able to get it out of you here because that's me. If we're watching all three TVs, and it's I'm probably the one guy looking at it like, oh, it's all the same. They just got different outfits on. So unfortunately, there's the world of combat still doesn't have the world knowledge for those sports.
And yeah, what interests me too is that's actually how the whole UFC and MMA thing really started. Was it's learning that mixture of martial arts And Ultimate Fighting, being the Ultimate Fighting champion, was about different disciplines trying to come and compete with each other to see which one was more dominant. Now, of course, there's no way to do that because the variation in athlete is also so different that it doesn't matter. You could get a guy looking just wild and whatever he's using is going to work because he's just so genetically above everybody else. But that was the whole premise was, okay, get a couple of Muay Thai fighters over here, get a couple of jiu-jitsu guys, get all this, get karate guys and kung fu, and let's have everybody show their discipline and see which one's the king of the cage and the Ultimate Fighting champion. And it's just like, and now it's all evolved until now the athletes need a nice healthy combination of kind of a few primary combat sports.
Yeah, and Nikita, I've learned since I've been introduced you through Bobby over the past few months and over a year at least now I've known you, that you're a very humble champion, and which is a rare thing I think for a lot of people that are around other people in their specialty of champions. So and Bobby brags about you all the time. So this is our chance to brag about you a little bit more. That we get to be sitting beside you. Bobby brings up from another episode the champion's way and the mentality towards that. And I'm going to let Bobby explain where an old episode of Nobody Cares that we talked about. But I know he was thinking about you when he was talking about it.
Yeah. And we referred to you in that episode too. So for anybody who's listening at home, if you haven't checked it out yet, it's an episode titled Nobody Cares, right? And we talk a lot about pretty broad range of how that applies to our lives in a way that should really be liberating, lift us up, and kind of take some stress off of our plate and let us be more happy. One of the examples I used was for somebody like Nikita, right? And you've won the belt now at the middleweight division, so 185 pounds in K1 kickboxing for this FFC organization that's based out of Las Vegas, right? So the fight capital of the planet. He goes down there. We get these fights at this huge venue specialized for this one organization, the FFC. We get down there. You've won the title now 3 or 4 times.
Well, I won it once, but defended.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. So you've defended it. So you won it the first time before we met.
Yeah.
And then it's been another 3 times since then. So technically, he's won against the best competition 4 times consecutively, right? Unchallenged. And at the end of every fight, it's always, okay, who are you fighting next? Right? It's that you, and maybe that's what has built your attitude of, okay, you're kind of, it almost seems like you're unfazed, right? Like my joke is always the times you've let me sit in the corner during the fights. I'm way more excited than the other corner guys or you when you win. It's like the look on your face is genuinely just, okay, I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I didn't make, too many mistakes, right? It's like, you're just unfazed and it's just straight on to, okay, we're going to go back to the gym then on Monday and we're going to keep working again. And it's interesting to where like, okay, does that take a toll? Was that something you trained to do? It's, just getting into the zone of, okay, you've trained, you've built your way up, you've fought through to the division. Now you're the champion. Now you're the defending champion, still unbeat. And it's just, it always has to be, okay, you wake up the next morning with the new belt and it's, okay, back to the drawing board. Nobody cares. Right back to it. Keep doing what you've been doing. And it's almost like there's just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
Is that part of why
he's humble
keep
right
that
now.
humble attitude? I'm excited just talking about it.
He's still just like, I don't want to talk about it still right now. We're trying to brag about him right now.
Yeah,
Bobby's
I'm just thinking.
Was that something you trained to do and just stay calm? Because let me tell one more story before I interrupt that answer. Before your fights, something that almost terrified me to my core and is crazy was we're in the locker rooms, right? We're a side fighter because you're the defending champion. You're also going to be the last fight of the night because you're the champion. So there's so much stress. I mean, again, this is incredible moment of my life just being a fly on the wall in that scenario and getting to see this. So I see all these other guys and it's full corners and it's the athletes, right? And we're all on whatever's going to be that A side of each fight, right? So we have half of the fighters in our locker room and you can just tell, right? So there's just tension in, the commission's coming in, checking paperwork. It's just slowly, stress is starting to build, right? Tension, excitement, adrenaline. Okay, boom. Okay, we're 20 minutes out from starting the event. Okay, that first fighter has to be warmed up, ready to go. They're already getting the sweat on. They've already been hitting mitts, whatever. And then everybody starts getting knocked off one by one. Okay, first fighter goes out. Okay, great. Now some guys are trying to watch it on TV. Other ones are trying to walk down the hallway to catch a glimpse of it. But just every fighter that starts walking out, okay, first fight's done, second fighter up, boom. And you just keep knocking it off. And it gets more and more exciting. And more excitement's building up until I look over and Nikita's asleep under a table catching a power nap. I was like, yeah, what are you doing? Like, I'm not fighting that night, baby. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there. Nobody's going to try to punch me in the head, hopefully. And I'm just drawing off all this adrenaline excitement. And I look over and I see both of your feet sticking out underneath the table, face down on the floor, taking the champion power nap. And I'm like shaking from just the excitement and fun of the,
and how
of
far
the,
out?
of the
How
moment.
far out was he from the fight?
This last fight, hey Bobby, can you wake me up when I'm like 40 minutes out or something?
Oh yeah, okay, 40 minutes out. All
Can you
right.
just, shake me to remind me that I'm fighting for a championship tonight. And I was like, so what is that? Is that training? I know you also do a lot with meditation, and you're a big proponent of control your body, control your mind. So was that trained, or is that just kind of how you've always been?
I think it's more about the mindset, and maybe over the years it's experience. They come in, let's say, my coach, back from Ukraine, that the coach that I was working with about 2 years.
Okay, that was
Not
because you had another
sorry,
one.
10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the one
10
you
years.
told me about that you guys put a ton of time in together.
Yeah.
And that was, you started with him as an amateur.
Yeah.
And here we go, Jay.
And-
how many amateur fights do you think you had? I know you lost count, but
Yeah.
ballpark us.
Well, more than 100 for sure.
More than 100 amateur fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that doesn't put ice in your veins,
And most of them are what? Muay Thai? Or...
Yeah, Muay Thai and Sencho.
Okay, so between
It's
those
super
that take
aggressive.
over there.
Super aggressive, really
for
tough.
me, that says you've been in the ring at least 100 times as an amateur, plus your professional fights, and then your championship fights as well. I wouldn't get in the ring with you one time to get kicked in the
No.
head. So that's the crazy part about it is you're willing to jump in the ring that many times. I don't care if you started at 12 years old. Still, you're getting kicked in the head.
Yeah.
and you're okay with it.
and
You
is it okay, there's probably not a lot I haven't seen yet, so there's not going to be any surprises when you get into the ring?
Yeah, like I said, my coach, he told me always, like, don't fight before the fight, because when you start thinking about the fight in your mind, the adrenaline goes in your muscles, so you start nervous, you're feeling sore, you're feeling tired, and that's why you better be in this moment now, let's say fireman, he's not sitting and waiting that there's going to be a fire, like in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or
he just
something.
knows it's not going to go
Yeah.
exactly the way he thinks it's going to go, so why waste the energy and set your mind mentally on a path that's logically not going to happen that way? Okay.
And
Wow.
when fireman defeats the fire, guess what they do next day? They go back
defeating
to
more
work
fires.
again.
Okay.
That's a good analogy.
Wow,
Nikita.
yeah,
I like
really
that
good.
analogy. I'm gonna
There are a
use
lot
that
of
now.
analogies like that. Honestly, for me, like nowadays, it's a lot of media or something, and athletes, we try to bring the best show to people, and professional sport, it's hard work.
Okay, so do you ever hold back because you're trying to promote another round? Do you ever hold back when after a couple rounds in with the guy, you're like, you know what, I need to drag this out a little longer? Do you ever do that even during the championship? Or no, it's just all out, I got to finish this guy. That's my job.
Yeah.
The last fights, it's better to finish.
But has there ever
But I
been
had the moment like that.
there has been moments
Yeah.
where you feel like I need to promote this fight a little bit better.
Not promote it. It's just you coming to the point when you start enjoying that.
Yeah.
Not enjoying, for most people, they're thinking that you're enjoying just beating the other people. But you enjoying because you know how many hard work you put in that.
Yeah.
And now it's working. And now like you're doing some element that you've been working for the 3 months with your coach and it works there. So you feel good,
Yeah.
And, but still, it's your profession, it's your job,
Yeah.
But for my opinion,
And at the level you're at, too.
Yeah.
That makes it much more difficult.
the thing that if we're back to the firemen's, there are so much more important thing that people do in day to day. You know, we don't have to go too far now. Or pandemic, the first responders, you know, but people always bringing up the athletes, fighters, you know, like boxers, MMA fighters, whatever. I don't know why, but like I said, we can give a lot of compares with the profession that's so important nowadays, you know. So
where you guys are looked at as like heroes, you mean, and like this big, you guys are put on a huge pedestal along with all professional athletes as looking like they're making the world turn.
Yes,
and
correct.
It's like there's so many important jobs.
Maybe this is one more reason why, you know, I'm not looking so excited or something like over the fights or winning the belt.
Were you ever that way though? Were you ever amped up before the fights, even at a young kid, just like, oh, okay, let's go, we're ready to go, and then being Bobby of and stuff, just running around? Because I would be like Bobby. I wouldn't. There would be no.
I'm not trying to make contact. Oh,
no,
you got to beat me to my car. I'm getting out of here.
I'm amped up. I'd be amped up. So I find that a big nugget to take away from you as a champion and sharing some of your background with us. As in, you just stayed calm. It's just that was your job. The hardest part was the practice. You probably got more amped up talking smack in the gym just with your coaches and stuff, probably, right? Yeah. Like when he's saying, you can't hit that bag hard enough.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, everybody is nervous, getting excited, but it's the matter of how can you control it? If you can use it on your advantage, or you just giving the stress the way like just to overwhelm you, you know? Yeah. So that's the matter. Again, we can come back to doctors. If the young student making his first surgery, or the professional surgery is making his 355th surgery, it's the same. It's a big difference.
This is, man,
But now you actively work on that, though. Like I mentioned, you're meditating. I mean, on a daily basis. That was interesting. On even before and after your fight, it was okay, Bobby. I'm going to step out. I'm going to go just kind of recenter myself and meditate for a minute and just take some time. You have that morning routine that's very specific, which we see with people at the top of every industry. They have structure, right? And from the second you wake up and your alarm goes off, it seems like you have a very specific rhythm. It's not only eating the right stuff, you've already had it planned out, you know exactly what and how much you're going to eat. And then in that same sequence, okay, you go on. And part of that morning routine also involves that meditation. What are some of the other things maybe you're focusing on during meditation that has
I think it's not about just meditation itself, but all those small things that you're doing consistently, you know,
having the structure,
the
routine.
That's what building your like I say, lifestyle, you know. And if we have a big goal, we have to understand that the big goal is consistent like with a smaller goal. How
it's
can
consistency.
It's
consistent with your smaller goals. It lines up together.
Yeah, so let's say all right, we have a fight, for example. We have a fight in 2 months, and I cannot think every day that okay, in 2 months I have to, because I'm burning myself. But all right, today is the day I have to eat that, I'm training, do this, do that. Those small things that I'm finishing, like okay, step closer, and it's the matter of the choice. For example, if you decided to be a healthy person, you open your fridge and there is soda can and water bottle. You know, it's about mindset, how you considering yourself at the current moment. Like if you're telling yourself, okay, if I'm considering myself like a healthy person, if I'm telling everybody that I decided to be a healthy person, what choice would the healthy person make now between the soda can and the water bottle?
If I want to actually do it, if I don't want to just be talking the crap, if I really want to walk the walk, which one am I going for? Yeah, that's right. And it's the small choices.
But in your mind, you're thinking, okay, just one time you can drink. But let's say to be healthy has like 5,000 parts. So 5,000 parts, you can tell yourself it's not a big deal. All right, you're not a healthy person anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So this about your mindset and the choice in the moment, because people, it's very good to have a big goals, you know? All right, I want to be Mr. Olympia or something, you know? But in the small things, you're like, yeah, it's a small thing, and I have a bigger goals. Yeah, or you decided to be a wealthy person, and you go into the shop, and the one thing here, it's that in the other place it's $10 less for the things, and you think, okay, I will go there, so that will be cheaper there, but you're spending like 20 or 30 minutes of your time. So at that moment you have to think, is this the way that wealthy people spend in their time?
Yeah.
If my time worth of $5,
Yeah.
can I be the wealthy person? So it's about the matter of the choice in the moment.
Yeah, so those choices added up to become the champion that you've become over the years and stuff. So I just learned this. I think that was awesome information that you just shared with everyone, because it's those little nuggets that really add up to become the champ that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby's constantly bragging about those little things you've always done over the couple of years he's known you.
And it's just the way we do it. We do it because that's the way we're supposed to do it, not because that's the way we feel like doing it today,
and
right?
You've brought up that, Nikita, the things you've brought this up personally with me, and yeah, we're talking about you a lot behind your back, which is just all good things, because Bobby's always saying he's doing things that most typical people that come into the gym aren't doing, and it's the meditation, it's the diet. You've been a vegan, you've switched over to.
It's the consistency on those other smaller things, right? They're not small because they add up to be huge things. It's just a very easy difference. It's an easy little mistake to shave off, or like grabbing that soda, like you said, perfect example of that. It's okay, those compound into massive differences in our productivity. And so those are those things. And not only it's making the right decision every time because it's the right thing to do, not because it's the easy thing to do, and doing that day after day with the right structure to it, the consistency, and then the time management skills to get stuff done. That saying, we all have that 24 hours in a day. Okay, how much can we really get done in 24 hours? Are we budgeting 2 hours to go sit on our butt and watch TV? Or could that be exercise and meditation and meal prep time, right? There's a lot of stuff we can do in that amount of time, and it's okay, what are we actually putting that time into?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think Nikita, you could sum it up. I don't know if you can do it any better, but of those type of things are what have made you successful in the combat sports area and stuff, even if you're traveling. And I love that Bobby brings up you're taking a nap 40 minutes out of the fight, because that shows that the discipline you've prepped yourself prior to this. You've done this numerous times over and over again, and everyone can do that in their own lives and stuff, where when that moment comes, yeah, you can just be chilling, and when it happens, it happens. And
yeah, because we did all preparation already. It's the same thing. If you have exam at school, and you wasn't ready, of course you won't sleep the whole night before the exam, because
what do you mean? I can't just study the night before and
Yeah.
pass the thing?
Cram, don't sleep,
That's how I
energy
pass.
drinks, and then just try to fly through the exam. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've dialed in your nutrition too throughout the past couple of years as well too.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, will you?
Yes, when I came to United States, like I start thinking about, because it's a big change in the life, to change the country, leave everything behind. And I always looking for a way that I can make my life, or first of all myself, better, because everything starts with us. And I try to be vegan, totally cut any kinds of meat, fish, dairy stuff.
Yeah, that's all products that came from animals, right? So it's beyond the meat on top of the milk and the eggs, and I mean no animal products, right? So that's very, very strict. I think most of our listeners probably already know that one, but as far as going vegetarian, a whole deeper push into that is that vegan connection. So that really takes a lot of energy to find those replacements for otherwise, very common animal products. So how long did it take you to kind of get into full-on vegan mode?
I think I tried it for 2 or 3 months, but I felt like very low with the energy. But I cannot say that because of the vegan lifestyle or something, because I wasn't ready, totally for the vegan kitchen. I didn't have this knowledge about it. How can I do it the right way? I just cut everything and start eat what I can which is considered like a vegan food. You
Yeah,
know?
so at the beginning, you might have end up eating just carrots for
Yeah.
half a day because you didn't know what else you could get your hands on at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a conversation I've had with other athletes too, who have inquired about, okay, maybe going vegan. And it's okay for that exact reason. We're not just going to look at your nutrition and just start taking stuff out. We need to replace it with that substitute. And I think that's the biggest challenge for a lot of people. Maybe why being vegan has kind of got a bad rep from some people is because, like me, I don't know enough good options to create substitutions and not just subtractions from that nutrition. So that was something you kind of felt like you struggled with as well, was making sure that we get that actual substitute, and a lot of stuff just came out, right?
Yeah, that's true, because like I was keep going training actively, and like I felt that the energy goes really down. I'm getting tired too soon. So but I decided do not jump right away back to the previous meal plan that I had, you know. So I tried to start slowly. So I put in fish and the seafood and eggs. With the milk, before I used more almond milk, you know. So I don't know if it's not considering like a dairy. Yeah,
No,
okay.
No, it's all nuts.
So and I start feel comfortable with that. Good level energy. I can perform good on the training, and so till this moment I'm a pescatarian.
Yeah, pescatarian. So pretty much it's fish, seafood, and then you throw in some eggs, but you're still staying away from
meat,
male meat.
Yeah.
The land meat.
Or no chicken, no turkey,
chicken, no beef, no turkey, no birds.
Yeah. But again, one thing that I want to say, you know, like when you're talking to people, and I never bring it to them that, okay, I'm pescatarian or something. That when people ask you, well, let's say we're going with the company or our friends to the restaurant or something, and you want steaks? I said, no, I don't eat meat. It's good with me. Oh yeah, well, why? I said, well, I eat fish. Well, but fish is the meat or something, and they start analyze my diet, my lifestyle.
You didn't ask.
I said, but
I didn't ask.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
but I didn't ask. Yeah.
But you're eating all this stuff, you know, like, and I'm not arguing to you like, oh, you're eating dead animals or that. You know that story, but that's again showing that for some reasons people more focus on the things around than on themselves, you know, and taking care about the stuff that happens around. Like we're talking a lot about that with Bobby, you know, that like we're ready to solve the worldwide problems, but we cannot choose the water between soda and water, you know, like
so we can't fix them. Like that's a good point, and especially right now, and we're up to date on these episodes all the time. So and me and Bobby's brought this up in episodes before. It's like work on you, and then you can fix other things that you choose and enjoy to put your passion towards. But until you're fixed, there's no hope for anything else that you're trying to fix.
And being most critical about myself and not other people.
Yeah.
Right? Correct. It's that my problems are my problems. I need to get my own house in order before I start critiquing other people's. And people who talk to you about that, right? When you and I first met, okay, what are our nutrition, you know, what kind of nutrition things are we working with? I'm pescatarian. Okay, great. No problem. We're going to keep moving on, right? That's just, there was no reason for me to try to convince you that that wasn't great. Number one, clearly it was already working for you, right? You already had the shiny belt over the shoulder. So clearly that was working just fine and you had found the right combination of foods. The other part is, I don't know why you were doing that yet, right? There was more to learn. We didn't know, you know, I didn't know you had been vegan before that. I didn't know what your experience was. You might have had allergies to food or bad reactions. And it's just, okay, let people do their thing. If it's working, they're not hurting themselves or other people. Why do this whole, okay, my opinion is more valuable than yours? And not that we're going to talk about it, but we see a lot of that, especially in politics these days, is that my opinion is correct, right? I'm mistaking my opinion for a fact, and I'm putting down the way that you think or feel. And it's like, okay, especially with nutrition, if you don't know somebody's story, just see why, you know, ask why they're doing that. Maybe there's something I can learn, right? And there's, especially from your background in your education, which we'll talk about a little bit in a minute here, it's that you probably know a whole bunch of stuff I don't know about that, right? And so why not take that as an opportunity to learn something new? When I talk, I'm only saying things I already know. When I listen, I can actually learn something new, right? You don't learn anything new while you're talking. So speaking of, so your education being in veterinary science, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Did that play a part at all, or was that kind of separate?
I would say it was my desire to enter the vet school, but still, I was studying for 5.5 years. I got the degree, but more and more over even those years at the vet school, I was more into sports, and thanks for my teachers. They were supporting me. That they give me a hand anytime that I have to leave for the competition. So can you cover somehow classes so I don't have troubles with that? But everything happens for the reason, because a couple of my friends, they are the friends that I came to here. They've been living here,
Okay, yeah.
So this is my friends from the vet school.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
For me, it's already worth it.
So they
those
weren't fighters.
5.5 years.
Your friends weren't fighters.
No,
they were just friends.
Those were the college buddies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
the
even
university
better,
buddies.
to have people around you that aren't obsessed about what you're so good at doing now, because you chose that path and didn't judge them for their path, but you guys are here together as friends. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. So, like I said, for me, those 5.5 years already worth of the fact that I had the opportunity to come here and have someone here who can support me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's a thing. But and you're staying busy, and you bring up a lot of good points about working on yourself. Bobby brings up valid points and stuff of staying focused
And time management.
and time management. But the funny thing for me is that doesn't have the fight background of any sorts. And I'm bragging about it right now. Is fighters are very selfish. And hearing you talk and hearing Bobby's thoughts on how you guys have trained in the past, that's a good thing when you're trying to reach a goal. And you bring up a couple of good analogies with the firefighter and people that are choosing the water or soda. You have to be selfish at times with that. And as in, I need to work on me. It's not about around me. Having good support staff is important, and that's what you've done really well. But it's actually staying on focus with you and your goal, your next day, your next meditation, your next meal, your next training session.
Yeah. I want to jump in on that because I happened to just be talking with a client about that this morning. And yeah, we use the term being selfish when we're working on ourselves, but really all that means is I'm prioritizing with making myself more healthy physically and mentally and emotionally so I can provide more for the people around me, right? So that's, people try to use the phrase, okay, it's being selfish, but really at the end of the day, it's just, okay, I'm prioritizing with personal development, right? I know I'm not where I want to be physically, mentally, emotionally, and I'm going to keep trying to make progress so I have the most to give back.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like that also helps as
Well, I would say, of course, athletes, actors, whatever, they're professionals. They have ambitions, of course. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the top, Yeah. But for my opinion, the difference between those ambitions, if you want to be over someone or you want to be just better than yourself,
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's good.
No, yeah.
I think at that point, the most people, you can hear this from everywhere, like the actors, those guys, they're very simple, in their life, that they humble. Yeah, they're super busy. They cannot respond to you in the Instagram, right away because they have like 5 million followers or something.
Yeah.
But if they would compete with someone, they already quit because, okay, I'm better than that guy. I don't need anything else, But to be better than yourself and the goals that we're talking about, the person that climbed to Everest, okay, let's say that person came to the top. Nobody bring the lettuce with them, put there and go higher, Okay, they went to the top. They going down. They're looking for another mountain, the higher one.
This brings me. I want to go back because it makes me feel like your whole process and the nuggets that you've shared with us today is that you were never chasing to be champ one day. You were just chasing to be the best Nikita every day, and whether it was kicking the bag and then the bag became kicking someone else, and then that someone else ended up being in a ring, and that ring ended up being the next step. So it was never being the champ. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, if you actually had a goal of being champ one day, or was it just being the best Nikita at that specific thing?
Well, Honestly, of course, yeah, you won't be better, and if you're winning, that means you're getting better in what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling to be a champion, and it's more responsibility because now you have to prove it again and again. But in my mind, I had a goals to be a champion, but I think it was more self-motivation,
Yeah, that's what
it wasn't like that. I just want the belt,
I can feel
that's
that. I
it.
can feel that through your conversation.
Because if you just want the belt, then you act like me.
Yeah.
It's you want to be absolutely the best you can physically and mentally possibly
that's
be.
what I feel like he's
and I
telling
think
us.
that's the only way you can remain a champion, right? I've never been a champion, obviously, but that's got to be it, right? It's the lonely at the top thing. Well, you can't compare yourself to everybody else because nobody else is as good as you. The only way you can maintain champion status is looking now inside because I'm the best.
Well, that's why when you see like the UFC fighters, for example, yeah, they're so happy
Lot of
when
wild
they
guys, yeah.
when they have the belt,
Yeah.
But from the athlete position, I understand that they're not happy about the thing itself, not about the belt, like a material
process.
thing,
The process.
They know how many hard work they put to get the thing,
Yeah,
and it's just showing that all that hard work paid off. So it's
Yeah,
different
that's-
feeling.
That and I think I've learned that's the biggest nugget I've taken away from you at this moment in this show is it's the process, it's not the belt.
Yeah.
It was the process, and that makes me, and Bobby, I'm sure you guys have had those conversations over the trainings and stuff like that. Why are you here today? Why are you here today? And Bobby's learned that from you already, and is that no, I'm here to be better today than what I was yesterday, and that goes back to
Yeah,
what Bobby
but
always says.
we're always like we're always thinking how we can do the routine better. Like I'm coming and say, okay, Bobby, I feel like I need more explosive kicks. So we start putting something in our routine that's helping to improve the explosive kicks.
Can we? That actually is a thing that happened, which not to toot my own horn, but I'm very, very proud of the work that we did on that last camp. So I want to dive in on that one. Nikita had lined up this just incredible fighter from Brazil, huge guy, great record. I think he had lost one other time in his whole pro career.
30 and 1, I think.
Yeah, 30
wins and 1 loss.
Yeah, so just animal. And so we had to have the coaches meeting, right? So we get together with the other guys, and it's okay, what do we need to work on technically, right? Which isn't my conversation, although I do need to know, of course, corresponding muscle groups and movement patterns we got to work on. But it was hearing the guys break down technique-wise where they want to sharpen some things up. One of which was that, okay, we want to put a little bit more speed and a little bit more explosive power on the hip and the leg, but also we need it to be endurance train, right? Because when you're the champ, you're fighting for 5 rounds. And so it's okay, we want him to be able to drop those big Ukrainian knees and kicks even later on in the fight. So we dug in and we really did some, what I would consider, unique movements, things I hadn't seen before, to really condition the hip flexors, the top of the quad there, and really get more of a pop, a little bit more speed and strength with it, but that endurance. And the fight ended up being won with a 4th round flying knee to the face for the knockout and the win. And it was just like
showing off.
We literally could just tie it back to, number one, what his other coaches said he needed to work on specifically. He's already the champ, so he's pretty sharp in a lot of areas, but it was the one thing that they said, okay, this is where we think we got to dial in here. And then we took it to the lab to do the strength and conditioning on it and really, really put some incredible focus on it. And then that ends up being the tool that he used when he saw the opening during the fight to jump up at this dude who's 6'2", 6'3", and drop the knee to the face in the 4th round when everybody else would have been completely dog-tired and exhausted, and it was still had enough power to drop it on the face, get the KO win. And it was like, that was just, that was one of the most exciting moments of my life right there. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was literally like the same movement that we did before.
And we can tie it back. We have the video of us doing the strength and conditioning on the knee.
Yeah.
And he ripped it up the same way we had done on a couple of really interesting strength and conditioning moves we had made.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was just the exact movement pattern.
So how long was that camp? How long does a camp usually last for when you're defending your titles?
Okay, and not to interrupt you again. Typically, it's maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 months. Now,
That's the whole training camp.
that could be the
or is
camp
that
for a
from-
single fight.
or-
Now, Nikita never takes any time off. So there's normal people's camps, and then there's the champ camp of Nikita, which, just like reaching for that water bottle in the fridge, he'll train whether he's in camp or not. So we're constantly sharpening tools and keeping his body in check, keeping the weight right, keeping strong. He actually gets some pretty close calls on a couple title defenses. They've given him less than a month notice, which is insane, especially for that level
Do you ever
of
get mad
competition.
about that, Nikita? When you get the last minute call, or you're like, yeah, let's do it.
No, I mean, sometimes, well, I try to work on the emotions, because there are the things that you can control, the things you cannot control. So the emotions should be the thing that you can control. And the offering, if I don't want to take it, don't take it, So it's the matter of my choice.
Is there any time that you taper off and like, okay, I need a couple of weeks or a month off? Do you tell yourself? Is there any time you tell yourself physically or mentally?
Well, usually no more than a week. No more than a week.
Yeah, I think-
Sometimes it feels like I can take it off like for the month,
Yeah.
but like
It's usually
But
like
yeah, it's
7 days.
like a
But do you
drug.
mix it up? Like sometimes, okay, let me just take a mental break away from being in the gyms, or is it like, okay, let me have a week away from Bobby, or add a weekend from Bobby and stay away from the mitts from training? I mean, is there any decision making in your own back of your mind?
Bobby said that I'm training all the time, but it's the matter of the pace. Of course, I'm not training like we're in the camp all the time.
Yeah.
So you just stay active, you stay tuned, but like I try to keep the shape that if I get the call, and over the 3, maximum 4 weeks, I can go to the top,
Okay.
of my shape.
Okay,
So this is the
okay.
pace I try to hold.
And
Like I'm feeling mentally sometimes that, okay, we'll do the same thing like every day. All right, today we'll go for run. Let's say this morning I did running, just running,
Okay. Yeah.
That's your day off.
Yeah.
It's
That was
just
the day
running a
off.
bunch of
Just-
miles.
Yeah, and then like I go swim.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just walking or something.
So and through the podcast, Bobby and myself have always brought up is train yourself in season. And that was my whole point is you do train yourself in season. Sometimes it's just a running day and you take the mitts off for the day. It's not you're not kicking and hitting people every day during your off time. There's weight training days, there's stretching days, there's meditation days, there's just high end nutrition times, there's times that you'll enjoy a meal for yourself and things like that. That's what I was trying to get into.
Well, with the Muay Thai, with the kickboxing, with the striking, I want to admire Daniel Mendes, my coach here, because he has very good schedule that we're not doing the same thing all over and all over again. Like, okay, guys, 3 rounds sparring, 3 rounds backs, and like day to day. No.
I got to see the schedules. He has that very well organized. It's really impressive on what the term we use. And again, not to interrupt you there, but the term we use in strength and conditioning is periodizing that schedule. Number one, it's okay. Are we in season? Are we post season? Are we off season? Are we pre-season style? Of course, seasons for a fighter goes very quickly. It can be 2 weeks off, and then you're right into technically, pre-season training. But then even within that, like you had said, it's that okay, intensities also broken down day to day. And that was something I really admire about Daniel's scheduling was, okay, this will be like the month, this is the week, this is the day, right? And so we really break it into those little 30 little sections that makes up the month. So that was kind of your experience with him. Was that the first coach you had that really did it that deeply broken down?
Yeah, like that proper schedule. Yeah, this is the first, the one of the goals that I reached, to have the specific schedule with the team.
Yeah.
And let's say for the last 2 weeks with our striking training, we were drilling kicks, on the backs, on the pads, with the partner, and like 2 weeks of kicks. And I said, Daniel, when we will start work with the hands, So he said, next week. So he brings us to the point where we're not tired from doing the same thing all over. I'm already hungry to start working with the hands, So even
It's like when Bobby keeps me away from the mic, I get a little hungry.
Yeah.
Want to get another episode in.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
It's
So that
staying
urge.
fresh.
But, and I asked that question because you don't just have, because I wanted to know how often you were training for championship and fights and all that stuff, because you still got other things going on besides having a degree and being a vet, training to hold on to all your belts, which seems to be really easy for you because you stay in shape all the time. And you also have a modeling career as well that you're working on and developing right now. You're always on photo shoots. I think you're on your way after this episode to another video shoot too. So how do you keep it all together, man?
Well, it's the matter of priorities at the current moment, if I'm setting up goals for myself, and the main goal is jump into the acting, but I won't get there if I'm just sitting and waiting. So I can start with something, and when you start to set this mind, like the opportunity is coming. Okay, we got this opportunity to jump into the shooting. Okay, let's go. Let's try that. And for me, the worst day is probably Sunday night. If I'm just sitting at home and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Even though like sometimes you have to take the stop. Like time out.
Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty good, and Bobby's bragged about you're good at taking some physical break, but mentally you're ready to move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the break will be studying some new financial management system too. You're very well read, and I think you two actually have a lot in common where you guys pursue the more advanced financial management and investing strategies and things like that you're both really, really fascinated by. Me, not as much. I thought I was until I met you two guys, but like you guys really like to self-educate and pursue that. So you might do, a week's worth of studying in one night because that's the day you're going to let your legs rest, but you're keeping your mind so active. And it's like, so there's just constant personal development happening. There's never, my ideal Sunday night is literally feet up on the couch, physically and mentally doing nothing. And it's like you would go absolutely crazy doing that. Now, granted, you're a champion, so that's probably why. But but again, was that something you consciously did, or you just kind of felt like, okay, just the path you were going on, you just got to keep yourself going?
Well, I would say that amount of time that now I'm self-educating, I started here in the United States, but it's like it happens itself, like something in my life. Like I know that I want to have something else in my life, better things, Well, and nobody was teaching me how to deal with the money the right way, how to invest, to direct, to save, etc. And we're living in a great time of opportunities when you have so much information, and that's when you're choosing between the kitties or some seminar about from I don't know Brian Tracy or whatever. There are a lot of information now that you can use on your advantage. But again, it's a matter of choice. And this is what I'm enjoying. Like some people, okay, what do you do? I say, I'll be at home, maybe, read something. But how you're relaxing? I said, this is the way I'm relaxing, like.
That is relaxing.
Yeah.
To them, it would stress them out to have to use their brain so intensely, right? But it's that, no, this is literally me resting. Is working my brain just as hard as I just worked my body for 7 days straight.
Yeah.
And it's like that to me is very interesting. On everything is at 100% capacity all the time and increasing, yet you are so calm and you can just keep that pace what seems like indefinitely. So very impressive.
Well, it's good to try. If you're improving, before it was I can say like the pattern that you cannot focus on the several things in one time, but I think nowadays you have to be self-educated in different areas, and yeah, you can focus on the few things in one time, but you can focus on your body, you can focus on your mind, you can focus on your nutrition, and basically you focus on the one thing, but in different areas of your life, emotional, physical, mental, and whatever.
And financial.
Yeah, financial, of course.
Yeah, all four.
That's
The
it, man.
four
Like,
F's.
That's the whole package right there, and that really the inspiration with the Health is Wealth podcast in the first place is that it's not just one thing or the other. It really does need to be that balanced, to live that balanced life, hopefully living a happy life and having enough to give back to the people around us. So man, thank you so much for being on the show today, man. Such a cool episode.
Thank you guys for having me.
No, this was awesome. This has been in the works for a while.
Yeah.
And because of your schedule, we had to squeeze you in.
Yeah. Now, you also have a new sponsor. I don't know if you want to give them the shout out, but I saw some really cool gear they got you the other day.
Yeah. This is the company, Muay Thai Addict. They very cool company. They're doing the great Muay Thai shirts, Muay Thai t-shirts, the sport bags, and those guys... very, like, I don't know, like, just person coming to me. I never ask anybody for that, but the person just came to me and he said, hey, honestly, like, we don't have that much chances now to sponsor you financially, but if you want, we can bring you a lot of stuff that can help you train to better, like, the shirts. And they didn't even ask me to promote them or something, they said, like, you're just the kind of person and athlete that we're willing to sponsor.
Nice.
So,
and they hooked you up with some really cool gear. I saw the shorts.
Yeah.
That's kind of more unique to the Muay Thai style, is some really interesting looking stuff.
Yeah,
so
you can check it in the Instagram. It's Muay Thai Addict. They have a page, and there are a lot of awesome stuff there.
And to see your photo with their gear on, where are they going to find you?
Also Instagram and Facebook, Nikita Chub, and Instagram it's Nikita Volcano Chub, and my page is open, so everybody is welcome.
Definitely go check it out. He's got some really cool content, from some training photos at the Custom Fitness Institute, from Fight Sports Deerfield Beach, from Freddie Marford's gym out west, and so really cool combination, of course, the fight photos and all that stuff too. So anybody who's listening, make sure you go check that stuff out. We appreciate you guys listening to this episode as well. Jay, you got anything else for the people?
I just recognize that we don't just have a champ, we have a humble champ and a humble human being in front of us. So check out Nikita on his social media works, and we will let everyone know when his next fight is coming up.
Absolutely. We'll keep you guys posted. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Peace.